and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I'm Tasneem Abrahams and I'm founder of the Private Practice Growth Club. This very animated character next to me is Charles Hsuan from Flying Kite. He is a speaker and a coach and also an author, I believe. And he shares and is passionate about sharing tips on story selling, which I think will be really fascinating and interesting. As you guys know, I always talk a lot about how as health professionals, we need to get out of this mindset of not wanting to sell, because at the end of the day, we have a service and people need to know about our services. And what better way to use something like story selling? And we're going to get into what that is and how it works a bit more. But firstly, welcome to Charles, and thank you so much for joining me.
Tasneem, the pleasure is mine, and I'm very, very excited to be sharing my journey, some of my insights, and looking forward to engaging with your listeners.
So tell us, Charles, who are you?
You know what? That's a question that every man and woman has been asked. So for me, the reason of my existence when it comes to my career, I'm not talking about my private life per se, but I'm talking about my career, is I'm on a quest to help growing business owners and sales professionals to find what I call your UPS, not USP, your UPS. And UPS stands for the unique problem that only you can solve. Now, I've noticed that's a question that people don't often think about. And once they have figured it out, the sales takes off. And everybody has a different UPS. And that's what I'm on a quest to find it. Because a lot of times when I work with clients, a recurring theme that comes up over and over again is, Charles, you help us to find the words. You help us to find the words of what we're trying to say. And that's when I realized there's a lot of value in it, because it's like genie in a bottle. You know, they're like, I can't get out. You just need somebody to. So that's my mission. I've noticed that's my gift and that's my mission. And I wake up loving what I do every day.
So how did you discover that? You ended up in sales at what age? How did you get into sales? And how did you actually discover that you were good at this?
You know, I remember that was one of the questions that was asked to me by my previous CEO. And I worked in media and publishing for about 4 years. And I said to him, Mr. CEO, I've been selling unofficially since birth. And the reason for that is I have ADHD. And because of that, I was forever getting into trouble. And I had to listen to what my punishment were and find my way to talk out of it, because the stakes were always very high. Because if I said the wrong thing, I get smacked. So I've been selling since I was a very, very young age, but I only knew it looking back now, because it's not a career that you think of. It's nobody talks about, hey, I want to be a professional salesperson. It just doesn't come up. But if I look back now, I realize, that is actually what I was doing. But fast forward a few years, I studied, I did my degree in finance, and after varsity, I wanted to get into banking, and I wanted to I want to become a stockbroker. That's why I went into banking. And then I realized that I hated my job. I was doing it for about 6 years. And I know hate is a strong word. There were times that on my way to work, wearing my shirt and tie, I was saying, please let my car break down so I don't need to go to work. That's how much I disliked it. So anyways, I decided to resign from my work, and my parents were furious, of course. And then I got into sales by accident, because I was looking around to say, okay, what industry can I get into? And then I just saw on the back of my mom's car, it says insurance. And at that time, I had no idea what insurance selling is. I was like 20 something. And then through a friend of mine, he gave me the HR lady's number. I called her up. And I remember there were a list of 5 things. You need to have a proven sales record, good attitude, sales experience, and all that stuff. I forgot what the 5 were. And I said to her, Desiree, I'm here to apply for a sales position. I have 3 out of the 5 things that you're looking for. If you give me a chance, I'll have all 5. And that caught her attention. And then she asked me the classic, sell me this cell phone over the phone. And I think I did a fairly decent job, and I got an interview. I mean, I got her to say yes, coming for the interview. And I remember after that phone call, my underarm was like drenching sweat. because I've never been asked, sell me something. I've never been asked
Yeah.
that. But I remember one incident like this was the genesis. And I've shared the story a few times. And the reason for that is it only occurred to me like in the last 2-3 years. So I was doing my degree in finance, and in my final year, there was a subject called commercial law that I had to pass to get my degree. And it's a year subject. All right. So you're going with whole year's average. Tasneem, I went in there with 30%. So that means I needed to get 70 to pass. I studied my butt off. I got a rewrite. So which means I got 60 something, which is pretty decent, but it wasn't good enough. So I got a rewrite, and I didn't want to do a rewrite because all my friends are celebrating. They got the degree. They're going to go for a job interview. They're going on holiday. Charles, what are you doing? I'm doing a rewrite. I'm like, oh, heck no. So I went to see the lecturer. And I remember when I walked into her office, there's just like piles of remarking papers. And I said to her, I remember there was a envelope on her desk, Flight Center, back in the day. And then I said to her, hey, ma'am, are you going on holiday? She's like, yes, I'm going to Cape Town. I can't wait. I'm stuck in marking papers. I made a mental note. That's when I said to her that, ma'am, first of all, it's December, Christmas, time of giving. Second thing is, you just told me that you don't want to mark another paper. What do you say? She passed me. That's actually how I got my degree. I cannot make this up. I cannot make this up. And looking back now, that was the genesis. That's when I realized when you say the right things at the right time, there's a lot of power in it. And that's what sales is all about. It's words. Like what we're doing is words, sending emails, sending texts, social media posts, actors in movies. It's words. And that's all I'm teaching people, to craft words in a certain way that'll speak to the customer.
So what I'm hearing you say is that sales is essentially just communication.
It's a communication, I'll say most of it, because what I normally tell people, and if I had like 30 seconds to sum up everything, is in every meeting, the quickest way to get somebody's attention is by speaking and addressing their pain, because that's how you get people's attention. And once you do that, and once you're able to summarize what they're going through and provide a solution, selling becomes a lot easier because you know what to sell at. Like, have you ever been to any presentation or somebody's trying to sell you something, they don't ask you any questions and they give you like a whole catalog and say, okay, pick one, right? It doesn't work. It makes it harder. And that's why people have a dislike about selling, because people have never been taught how to sell. But Tasneem, if I know what your pain is and I can address that and provide a solution, why won't you listen? Because we all have the same radio frequency, WeFM. Do you know what that is? Take a guess.
No.
WeFM stands for what's in it for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? We all have the same frequency. What's in it for me? Your viewers are watching this video thinking, okay, what's in it for me? I could be cooking, hanging out, getting a glass of wine, or watching Netflix or whatever. What's in it for me? That's what everybody's thinking. If you can talk to that, then I have your attention. So yes, it's about communication.
So at what point did you realize, so you got into your first sales job, and then through the years, at what point did you realize I really have a knack for this, or I'm really natural at this?
Great question. When I start winning awards. I mean it. Like, I'm not bragging. I'm just talking about that's when I had the realization. So as an example, so I first got into my official sales position in 2004. I was 24 at the time. And in the insurance industry, like there's a leaderboard every day. Like your salary changes every day. It's the whole leaderboard thing. And I was constantly in the top 3 on my team, and constantly top 20 in the whole sales team. And there's a few hundred. So that's when I realized, okay, I'm pretty good at it. And then obviously built a lot of confidence, and the company provided awesome training that I still use today. And fast forward a few years, when I worked in media, it was the same thing. When I was winning the weekly awards, monthly awards, yearly awards, annual sales trips to Greece, to Mauritius, then it kind of settles in, okay, I'm pretty good at it because I'm winning all the awards. But what I find more enjoyable was when I started coaching my my colleagues, because that's when I realized it's a transferable skill.
Okay.
Because I started paying attention. Okay, Tasneem, we work in the same office. We have the same laptop. We all have access to internet. What is the difference between what I'm doing and what you are doing? That's when I start making notes and start seeing, okay, it's because, well, obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes into place. So as an example, that I used to get to the office at 7 o'clock, and people normally get there at 8, make their coffee. By the time they get to work, it's like 8:30. So if I get to work at 7 o'clock, I read up on the latest digital news, find out what's going on. I'm an hour, I'm 90 minutes ahead of you per day. Times it by 5, times it by a year, times it by 4 years. I'm light years ahead of you in terms of knowledge, in terms of case studies. And that's how I used to get ahead. And it takes work and a lot of trial and error and paying attention to people. So I'll give you an example. So I used to work for Entrepreneur magazine, part of entrepreneur.com in USA. When the magazine used to come out, I used to read it back to front the Saturday. I make notes, I make a memory of what stories are in there. When I'm chatting to a client, so let's say, Tasneem, I'm chatting to you and you have a business that want to help startups grow, as an example. And then I will make a note and I'll say, oh, by the way, so in this month, we featured this startup. They're doing these cool things, and this is what they are. The area they're focusing on. Is this somebody that you want to target? Absolutely. You see, so using story to think instead of saying, "Hey, Tasneem, look at the stats. Look at the demographics. Look at how much they earn. Buy it now." That's a horrible way to sell. So that's when I realized, okay, this works, and I do it again and again and again.
It sounds like you're saying, you said it's a transferable skill, and it also sounds like you've worked in different industries and you've experienced success across the industries. So let's move now towards my industry, which is health professionals in private healthcare. A lot of health professionals will say things, well, I'm not good at selling. So and I'm not really selling anything, because they, associate selling with products. What is your take on this?
I love that question. And I remember early on this year, a lady that is a branding expert, she asked me the same question. So let's do a quick wordplay. If I had to say to you, average salesperson, what are some of the words that comes to mind? The one that you don't want to talk to, the one you walk into a store and like, ugh. Give me some words to describe somebody that's very average salesperson. Pushy?
A nuisance.
Nuisance, pushy, what else?
Yeah. Irritating, boring,
okay.
Uninteresting.
Okay. Now, if I had to say to you, what about a professional salesperson, somebody that you bought any item from at a restaurant or whatever, you say to yourself, wow, that was amazing. How would you describe people like that? What are they doing right?
They're showing interest in me and what I want. They are friendly. They are engaging. Oftentimes, they're not actually much talking about what they're selling, really.
Okay, what else?
I tend to buy a lot of courses online, and a lot of the times what sells me is when they talk about like their story or, their previous engagements with other customers, what their experience has been, what it's done for them. That kind of thing.
So think about the few things that you mentioned. So the average salesperson is the one that's annoying, self-centered, and just care about pushing the products. Whereas a professional salesperson, you describe as somebody that listens to what you have to say. They think about what you're going through. They share their experience. Think about that. And all I did was change one word: average versus professional. So if you classify yourself as a professional in the healthcare industry, you can mostly relate to those things. So if all those are good, why wouldn't you want to be associated with that? I think the reason why people have a mental block is because of those average people. The people that phone you on call centers, the one that just couldn't care less, the one that don't let you get a word in before they just want to, I call it pitch up and puke up. Pitch up and listen to pitch up and puke up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look, call it whatever you want. Call it business development. Call it account management. Call it sales. If you don't make any sales, if you don't have an income, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. So if you want to have a hobby as a practice and ask for people for donation, by all means. We need clients to pay bills, and whoever thinks sells is a dirty word, they need to have a mind check. Because
even then, like you're saying, if you want to have a hobby or a charity, like I work with I know a lot of people in the charity space. I'm involved in a lot of charities. And if you think about it, even when you're asking people for donations, in a sense, you're still selling because you're asking them to give you something.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a very, very valid point. So I'm not dissing charity in any way. You can't call yourself a business if you're not making any income. Asking for donations is exactly the same thing. Without SPCA, for example, the local SPCA that I support, they need funders like us to help to keep the animals survive. So selling, you can either be selling a feeling, a tangible, intangible, an experience. It's all selling, because every time you don't sell a yes, the customer is going to sell you a no, thank you.
So I mean,
especially you have children. I remember you have 4, right?
Oh yeah.
You are selling them, go to bed at a certain time. They're selling to you, no, mommy, 1 more hour of iPad or whatever. It's selling, right?
Yeah.
You're selling them to go brush your teeth. They're selling to you, just now.
Yeah. But now you mentioned, obviously, like those are intangible things. So, and I think that's the difficulty with health professionals, is that they don't really see selling services as selling. So when you are looking at selling physical or digital products versus selling a service, how is that different? And do you need to take a different approach in how you sell?
That's a question that is a very, what I'm thinking. I think it's a complex question, but I think I'll break it down in as simple as I can. With everything, right? With everything, you're dealing with a human being. Human beings have emotions. We buy with emotions, but we justify with facts. So the quickest way, let me give you an example. It comes with communication, right? So the first word starts with a P, ends with an N. What is it?
Pain.
Bingo, pain. Okay. So if you can address, and I'm going to give you an example after that now. So if you can address the pain in either in your 30-second commercial, on your social media posting, or newsletter, it will catch the attention. And it starts as simple as the subject line. So let's say Cairo as an example. If I get a newsletter or WhatsApp message, I mean, you and I were sitting in front of the laptop. Does your shoulder get sore?
Yeah.
And your neck gets sore, right? If there was a subject line that says that cure your sore shoulders in 30 minutes, you're going to open that email because I spoke to your pain and I spoke to my pain, right? And then the second step, and this is what's like the story selling in a way is what it is. Like the next step is, what's this? So I spoke to your pain. What's the next thing? That starts with the end. Bingo, solution. I address your pain, then I provide a solution to fix your pain. Okay? The third step is I need to tell you of what? Starts with the R, ends with a D. I spoke to your pain, I provide us a solution. So when you come to me, you get what?
I don't know.
You stumped with this one.
Yeah.
You get rewarded.
Okay.
You get relief from your pain.
Yeah.
Pain, solution, reward.
Okay.
So that's in essence, I can break down story selling like that because I'm speaking to you. Okay, so let me use 2 examples. Dr. 1 and Dr. 2, both of them are Kairos, and you're running to them at a network event. And tell me, Tasneem, which one would you want to go to? Dr. 1 says to you, Tasneem, you must come to my office. You must see the degrees I have. I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm the best in the country. Come and see me on Monday. Doctor number 1. Cairo number 2. Tasneem, I remember that you mentioned to me that every day around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, your shoulders around not your shoulder, your neck area and the trap area starts tightening up. I've helped a lot of clients similar to you. I believe I can help you. Why don't you come and see me next week, Monday? Which chiro would you want to go to?
Definitely the second one.
Why is that?
Because the first one just spoke about themselves the whole time. So
exactly. So think about it. How, if I had to break down that example again, right? I spoke about your pain in the beginning. Every day around between 12 and 1, your neck, your trap starts tightening up. I believe I can help you because I've helped many patients that go through the same as you. Once you come with me for a few sessions, I'm pretty sure we can loosen those tight knots. Story selling, you break it down. There's like any story, there's a beginning, middle, and end. You keep it simple. So what I have seen, and this is a question that I sometimes people get a little bit not too sure about the definition, like the difference between storytelling and story selling. So storytelling is like, I think I've shared this example with you before. You've seen Ocean's 11, and most of the people have seen Ocean's 11. Now, if I had to ask any person that is sane, after watching Ocean's 11, did you want to rob any casino? Most of them say no. Some of them keep quiet and say, that's a good idea. But you don't think about actually doing it because story is just for entertainment purpose. The story will get your attention, but the story needs to say something that changes what I'm going through. Otherwise, it's just a story. It's like a story that you share at a bride. There's no point to it. So that's the main difference. Like I broke it down. You need to speak to the pain. You need to provide a solution. You need to share with them what's the reward with working with you, and finally, how do they take action? So in any sales conversation, it's like that because we have the same radio frequency. If I'm listening to you presenting or sell me something, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
If I don't speak to it, then why should I give you my heart and cash?
Yeah. So let's say you had a health professional come to you, a physio or an OT, and they really need to get more clients, more appointments booked in order to make a profit. What would your approach be to help them to get more
clients? That's a great question, and I know HPSCA, is that the acronym?
HPCSA, Health Professions Council of South Africa.
So I read up about, and I know there was an article publishing back in 2018 about the guidelines of marketing. That's very, very strict. All right. So, and I'm not a law professional, so I'm not going to comment on that, but I want to comment about what we can do. And you know what fascinates me? That when I went to my chiro, when I went to my GP, when I went to my dentist, two things they never, ever ask because they don't think like a marketing and salesperson. And first question is, hey, Charles, how did you find us? Second question is, what makes you do, if we gave you a good experience and fixed whatever pain you're going through, do you mind leaving a review? They've never, ever asked that. And right, that they can do that, right? They are allowed to do that. Yeah. Exactly. Ask somebody, all you need to do, I thought about this, like doctors all have like notepads and they make things, right? So have two notepads. One of them just make notes about those two questions. How did you find us? Do you mind leaving a review? And also while you ask them, how do you find us? Dig a little deeper. Like think like a doctor. So the doctor, they always ask you questions before they diagnose, before they prescribe, right?
Yeah.
So how did you find us? Google. Okay. But Tasneem, what is it about the Google review? Was there any words that stood out that made you want to come here? Now you're getting deeper. So I'll give you an example how I found my dentist that I've been going for 3 years. So a few years ago, lastminute.com, I leave until December for my annual dentist checkup, which nobody likes going to it. It's like, nobody likes that. And I have like PTS about it. So anyway, so my regular one is booked, and I phoned around 2 other dentists around my area, all fully booked. Until I came around this lady that's not too far from me, and I read her reviews. And those are the words that spoke to me. Some of the words that described her was, she was gentle, she was caring, she communicated throughout the whole time. Isn't that what we need and what we want as a dentist? Somebody that's gentle, that's caring. And because you don't know what's going on when he's like, I can't see. right? You're like, okay, what is happening? So Tasneem, I'm just going to go to the back and draw a little because I can see there's a little bit cavity. This might hurt a little bit. Just those simple things. And those words, and I saw on the Google review, came up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So the point of that is, I call this listen to the lyrics. And you can use this to market yourself. See what people are saying to describe your service and use that in your marketing collateral. When people ask you, hey, so Tasneem, what do you do? Tell them that, you know what, I believe that a lot of people have fear coming to the dentist, but what my patients come to me, one of the reasons is they find that I'm gentle, I'm caring, and I always communicate to share with them what's going on. I'm literally using the words. And what that does is, hey, Tasneem understands what I'm going through. And I'm literally using your words. I call it, listen to the lyrics. So ask people those two questions. How did you find that? Dig a bit deeper. Do you mind leaving a good review? If you ask 100 patients, you will get some people that will write it. And it comes up with your search, and that's free.
Yeah. So I mean, those are some really great tips, especially if there are any people listening who want to, immediately actionable tips. And I think like nowadays it's so much easier than back in the day, because you can actually create a short link to like your Google My Business page, and in your follow-up appointment or reminders or anything like after your appointment, if you send any notifications out, you could actually include that in and ask people to leave a review, like you said. Yeah. So it makes it easier.
And think about it, right? Like if you see I'm just talking from experience from the past few months, because I have to, as I'm coming of age, I have to go for checkups, and the first thing I do is I ask for referral, and I look at Google reviews. I rather trust a doctor with, let's say, 20 reviews that's 4-star versus one review. It's just a social proof thing. And yes, it will take time. And yes, not everybody will do it. But if you do it on every day, so I think a doctor's appointment is 15 minutes about.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes, that is 4 per hour. So that's at least 30 patients. If only 3 of them take action per day to write your review, over a month, over a year, that's a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
And the fact is, like, not a single health professional has ever asked me those questions.
Yes,
never.
Yeah.
Do they ask you that question?
Yeah. No, they don't. And I mean, that is actually something that in my academy, when we do the marketing, I actually say in the process, you should have an onboarding and offboarding process. And definitely as part of your onboarding should be, in fact, in my online booking form, when people book, that's the last question that gets asked: how did you find me, and why did you decide to book this appointment? Before I even see them for the first time. And then if they didn't answer the question when we actually do have our introductory call, I also ask them that question in my.
Of course, then you're learning the lyrics, you're learning the words that describe them. So in the introduction, you mentioned about one of my books. So it's called Microscripts: How to Find the Words to Sell Your Business. And I actually got that idea from learning the lyrics from my clients, because when I chat to them, they keep on saying, you help us find the words, you help us find the words, you help us find the words. Hence, microscripts help you find the words to grow your business. I got it from them.
So is that a book that people could buy and actually benefit from immediately, even if they are in the health professional space?
They can actually download it for free.
Okay.
It's a free ebook. Like when they go onto the website flyingkite.co.za, there will be a pop-up. You fill in your details, and the book will be sent to you. You can literally finish it within 20 minutes. And the reason why it's free is because I wanted people, because I know people have never been taught sales. They needed something that's quick and actionable. So I just decided to put an ebook together. But next year, 2023, I am going to work on some new material, and this time I will be selling it. But it's a work in progress.
Okay, cool. So I'll definitely link to that, all of those things in the description box below. But if there are any people that are listening and they're like, I am not in the DIY mood right now, I just want somebody to hold my hand and tell me exactly what to do, and they think that maybe they'd like to work with you, where can they reach you, and what services do you actually offer? Okay,
so where they can reach me is flyingkite.co.za. On there, it has my sales tips on YouTube. It also has my podcast called Candid Conversations, when I interview growing businesses and industry experts such as yourself, and they share their experience. And I've also got 2 books for people to download. One of them is the microscripts, and the other book is called Refuse to be Boring, because boring doesn't sell. And if they are ready to engage with me, there's a booking form. You just need to click a slot. There's a few questions, and then I will see you on Zoom. It's as simple as that. And I fully understand that. Like, when it comes to sales, don't make people work too hard. Just click a few buttons and that's it. Because what I have noticed, like for example, I mean, Calendly, I've been using Calendly, this online booking system, for about 3-4 years now. It saves a lot of trouble, because I've seen this over and over again when people say, email, can you meet on Friday? No, another email. No, I can't. What about Thursday? No, I can't. It just makes it too hard. With the booking system that I use, you literally click on it, click on the slot you like, put in your details there, and that's it.
Absolutely. And this is something that I harp on a lot about in terms of the customer journey, is like reducing that friction for people to make an appointment. And I often encourage health professionals to get an online booking system. I personally use Bookem, which you can actually use for free. You can use it for free and only pay for the SMSs. You don't have to use the SMSs, so it is completely free if you use it purely for a booking system. You only pay if you want to use it as a practice management system as well. And it just makes it so much easier when they book, they can automatically answer questions, and it syncs with your Google Calendar. Because the worst thing is, if you are a health professional and a solo business owner, and you are in clinical practice all day, and you don't have money to pay somebody to answer calls, that means people have to wait for you to get back to them, which is going to be after hours, and then by that time they found someone else already. So absolutely, 100%.
Losing money. This is what you're doing. You're doing this with your money. There you go.
Definitely.
Take it.
Thank you so much, Charles. I think it was really interesting. I think we can probably go on about this forever, but definitely I'll put all your links down below. And I really want to encourage anybody listening to go and check out your website. I've been on your website. There are some really interesting things in there. Your YouTube channel, as you said, and your podcast. So for anybody who really just wants the help to get things going, to encourage them to reach out to you and see what you can do to help them.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tasneem.